All right, let's get right into it. Today, we are pulling back the curtain and cracking open the playbook that really separates the pros from the rookies on the corporate chessboard. If you're ready to stop being a pawn and start mastering the game that's played in the hallways, not just the handbooks, then you've come to the right place.
So let's kick things off with a question that I'm willing to bet keeps a lot of you high achievers up at night. You're putting in the hours, you're crushing your targets, but somehow someone else is getting the promotion, the cool project, the recognition. It is so frustrating, right? It feels like there's some secret game being played that you just don't know the rules to. Well, guess what? There is. And today, we're going to learn those rules. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to expose those hidden rules. Then, we'll decode the logic behind them. After that, we'll arm you with some advanced tactics, show you how to build a defense, create your own power base, and finally, how to win this game without losing who you are. This isn't just theory, folks. This is your new survival playbook. Okay, let's dive right into our first section. It is time to pull back that curtain and really look at the invisible forces that are honestly shaping your entire career path, whether you realize it or not. So, what are these unwritten rules we're talking about? Look, they're not just office gossip or who gets coffee. They are the real operating system of your company. Think about it. Promotions, budgets, the best projects. They're all limited resources. These rules pop up naturally because of human dynamics and competition for those resources. Understanding this system is the absolute first step to playing the game. Now, this slide right here is so important. Honestly, this one image probably explains 90% of the friction and miscommunication you have with your boss. You, the person doing the work, need crystal clear instructions. You need clarity, but your boss, who's dealing with a market that changes every 5 minutes, needs the exact opposite. They need flexibility, they need ambiguity. And this fundamental conflict right here is the soil where all the unwritten rules grow. All right, so knowing that conflict exists, let's move on and figure out how to start decoding what's really being communicated. Hearing the words they aren't actually saying. If you can get good at this, you'll be able to anticipate moves and put yourself in the perfect position for a win. You've got to think of how a senior leader communicates. It's often intentionally indirect. That vagueness you hear, that's not them being indecisive. It's a strategy to keep options open. That flexibility lets them pivot quickly without looking like they're backtracking. And that vacuity, that empty space they leave in a conversation, that's a test. They're waiting to see if you have the initiative to fill in the blanks. And finally, they live in a world of relativity, where a hard yes or no is rare because nothing is ever that simple. So with all that in mind, here's the most crucial point of all, the golden rule. Amidst all the vague talk from senior executives, the one voice you absolutely must listen to with perfect clarity is your direct supervisors. Seriously, forget the fantasy about the CEO discovering you. The person who writes your review, signs off on your vacation, and fights for your promotion is your direct boss. Their word is law for your career. Period. All right, now for the really fun part, the practical toolkit. We're done with just understanding the rules. Now we're going to learn how to actively play the game. This is how you shift from always reacting to getting on the offense. I'm sure you've heard this one before. You come up with this brilliant, ambitious new idea, you lay it all out for your boss, they listen, nod, and then they hit you with those 3 little words. No pressure. So what do you think that really means? Yup, this is a perfect example of the code. In the world of unwritten rules, no pressure, or that's interesting, let's circle back, or why don't you socialize that idea a bit? It's a polite but absolute rejection. Here's the key. A lack of clear, enthusiastic endorsement is the rejection. Don't waste your political capital pushing it. It's a dead end. So how do you actually get a yes? Simple. You stop bringing problems and start bringing solutions. Never, ever walk into your boss's office and just dump a problem on their desk. Instead, use this 3-step approach. Step 1. State the facts of the situation, no drama. Step 2, present at least 2, maybe 3, possible solutions with the pros and cons for each. And step 3, this is the most important part. Let them make the final call. This move right here transforms you from just another subordinate into a trusted strategic partner. Playing offense is exciting, but any great player knows that a strong career needs a rock-solid defense. You have to build a professional moat around yourself and your work to protect you from the, let's say, the nastier side of office politics. This quote right here should be your personal mantra. When things get tough or someone tries to throw you under the bus, your two best weapons are your documented track record and your undeniable results. Feelings fade, arguments get messy, but data, documentation, that stuff is permanent. Make your value so obvious, it's undeniable. And here is a super powerful, dead simple tool for creating that ironclad evidence. After any important meeting, or even just a verbal agreement in the hallway, send a quick follow-up email outlining the 3 R's. What was the exact result or decision made? Who has responsibility for each action? And what is the firm timeline or deadline? This one simple habit kills all ambiguity and makes it impossible for someone to later say, "Oh, that's not what we agreed on." But what if the attack is more personal, like a nasty rumor? The key is, don't get emotional, get strategic. First, collect every piece of evidence you can find. We're talking screenshots, emails, maybe even notes on who said what. Second, take that evidence to HR or your manager and calmly, factually present your case. And third, once you're on solid ground, you can decide how to address the source. This isn't about revenge. It's about professionally shutting down toxic behavior.
Okay, so you've mastered defense, you've built your moat, now it's time to build your own arena. This is where you stop just surviving the game and you start actively shaping it to your advantage by creating so much value they can't afford to lose you.
Look, especially when you're aiming for that top-tier salary or working in a super competitive company, everything you do has to tie back to one of these 3 things. Can you prove, with numbers, how your work makes the company money, saves the company money, or saves everyone valuable time? If you can clearly articulate your impact in these 3 areas, you can basically write your own ticket. Now, listen up, because this is huge. Doing great work is only half the battle. If nobody knows about it, it almost doesn't count. You have to increase your visibility. Always use data to talk about what you've done. Become known as the person who brings solutions. Build relationships with people in other departments. Start thinking like you own the business, not like you just work there. And through it all, consciously build your personal brand around what you do best. So, we've covered the rules, the tactics, the offense, the defense, the whole playbook. But this brings us to the most important question of all. How do we do all of this without turning into some soulless corporate drone? How do we master the game while still staying true to ourselves? And this right here is the ultimate mindset shift. The most powerful people in any organization aren't always the best political players. They are the most valuable. When you pour all your energy into becoming so good they can't ignore you, into creating value that no one else can, most of the petty office politics just becomes background noise. Your performance becomes your shield and your sword. So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. Understanding all these unwritten rules isn't about being trapped by them. It's about understanding the system so you can navigate it, master it, and ultimately rise above it. The goal isn't just to play the game better than anyone else. It's to get to a level where you can start to change the rules yourself. Thanks for joining me.